Hey, I'm your host, Bree Wild, and this is Marquee Memories. Here we sit down with your favorite artists to chat about their top concert memories as fans. Today's guest is a singer-songwriter making a name for herself in the pop rock sphere. She released her debut album last year, played her first Warped Tour this year, and has shared the stage with All Time Low, New Found Glory, and Simple Plan. LØLØ, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So what brings you to LA?
Right now, I am finishing up my second album, but I come here a lot for songwriting and sessions and just hanging out. So
Nice. Second album.
yeah,
So
it's
exciting.
insane because I feel like I just released my first album, and now I'm already writing the second, and it's hectic.
I bet. I wore this shirt because I want to manifest.
Oh, love.
I want to manifest you opening for Olivia
That would be
Rodrigo.
a dream.
I think it would be a perfect fit.
Thank you.
I feel like something that is rare in music is this sarcasm and humor. That is definitely in yours. Like, it's heartfelt with a little eye roll.
Yeah.
Has that always been your brand?
Yeah, I feel like that's just my personality. So it's kind of just the way that I write. I try to not edit myself so much. When I say something, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to edit that because that's exactly how I thought it. So I used to, back in the day when I was first starting out and first learning to write, I was like, I want to make everything so relatable. And I ended up just editing it down to be so boring.
Yeah.
And so I learned that as authentic as you can be, and even though it's so specific, it ends up being more relatable somehow.
Yeah.
So
Like American Zombie is very, very good.
thank you.
I love that.
Thank you so
Very
much.
delightfully unhinged.
Oh, thank you. Get that a lot. Unhinged. The unhinged part.
Yeah. I also like your humor and when you describe yourself. Like when you describe yourself, I can't even remember, but on TikTok or Instagram, you're like, if you're looking for a Walmart Taylor Swift or something like that. I'm like, that's so funny.
You know, I learned from Eminem to just put yourself down so that no one else can take that from you. I feel like at first I was getting a lot of heat just being a girl in this industry, and especially in this kind of genre. So I try to make fun of myself before anyone else has the chance to.
I get that. All right. So we're going to jump into your memories. But first, I want you to tell me a little bit, because 21, 22, and 23, I heard you say in another interview that you weren't allowed to go to shows when you were younger.
Yes.
Is that true?
It is true. I have a very helicopter, very scared of things mom, which she's the best, so caring, and I could not ask for a better mom, but she did not want me to go deaf, and so she didn't want me to go to concerts, but joke's on her because now I'm in the music industry.
Now you're playing the
But
concerts.
now, yeah, exactly, but I have, my in-ears, of course. So, and I actually just went to get my ears checked a few months ago, and I have perfect hearing. So
There you go. See, Mom, it's fine.
Yep, it's all good for now.
All right. So let's jump into the first one.
New Found Glory, The Gas Monkey, Dallas, 2021. So that was the first tour I was ever invited on. And it was a huge deal because I had performed like a few times in Toronto where I'm from, but I had never been on a tour. And it happened to also be COVID. And no one was really out on tour at that time from Canada anyways. We were like, me and my band, we were the only people that we knew that were like going out on a tour. And I actually also almost didn't even go on the tour. It was supposed to be me, New Found Glory, and Simple Plan. And then Simple Plan actually backed off because of COVID and they were scared, but the tour continued. And I almost backed off because after Simple Plan got off, I remember my agent and my manager were discussing like, oh, I mean, it's a little bit like,
Risky.
no, not even the COVID thing. Just like, I wonder if that crowd will like you. You're a lot more pop. And I almost pulled off the tour. And I think we made the decision to pull off the tour, which would have been, by the way, the biggest mistake of my life because this tour like set me up for everything. But Chad Gilbert DM'd me on Instagram and he's like, we picked you for this tour because we think our fans will like you. You need to be on this tour or whatever. But anyways, which I love him for that. And I always thank everything to him because he totally like got my whole career going. But it was also a 2-month tour. So this is me coming from never being on the road ever to going out on COVID and this like such weird time, going to all these states for the first time because I'm from Canada for 2 months straight. Wow. And so I was scared shitless, as you could imagine, about everything. But I just remember the first night watching New Found Glory. I was at Gas Monkey in Dallas and I also, like, I was a huge Simple Plan fan, but I didn't really know New Found Glory. I think they were just, like, a bit above my time. And also, like, in Canada, it was, like, Simple Plan was, like, really big, but New Found Glory wasn't as big. But I just remember watching them, and their show was so good. And I just remember looking up at them, and just from the first chord, like, and the way they started, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And they kind of set the standard. And after that, I was like, I need my show to, like, have this energy, this much heart, this much, you know, everything. And then, you know, then we had, after that, I think it was 36 more shows. And I have never been on another tour where I watched the main band that many times. Because, you know, of course, like, how many times can you watch the same show? Obviously, you love the bands that you're touring with, but, like, it gets to a point where you want to, like, go eat dinner or whatever.
Meet some basic needs.
Exactly. Take a rest. But on the New Found Glory tour, I watched every single night. And I was just trying to learn as much as possible. And I was just, like, jaw drop, like, oh, my God, they're amazing. Yeah.
What's something you like about the performance that you feel like you could take and bring into your performance?
Just so energetic. Like, they're just going for it. And that's kind of how I try to be too. And you could just tell they have just this, and I don't even think this is something that you can, like, develop. It's kind of just they just, like, don't give a shit. They're just, like, having fun singing the songs. They have such natural banter. Like, it's not really, like, scripted or anything. It's kind of just, like, they're just going for it, and they don't give a shit. And I love that. And it's definitely somewhere that I strive to be in that position of, you know, not giving a shit. Because obviously, like, you're on stage and you're thinking, like, oh, this just happened. And, like, oh, I just sung this wrong. But, like, obviously, like, when you're in the audience, you don't notice any of these things. And even when I go watch a video back of myself after a show where I'm like, oh, I did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong, and I don't notice any of it. And I'm like, okay, I have to remember that, like, no one cares. Everyone's just there to have fun, and no one's noticing except me. So that, you know, that was something that I took from them for sure.
I feel like also, like, they have a sense of humor, like, you bring too.
Yes,
where they're
they do.
They make fun of themselves a little, you know, or
they totally
play
do.
Disney cover songs, you know, like,
and come out in a wig.
Yeah, and come out in a wig.
So funny.
That is a good fit as far as, like, your music is definitely pop, but I feel like your attitude is, like, punk.
Thank you. I've gotten that, but I remember I was so nervous the first night, and I looked at I sell these. I was going to call them toques, but I forgot you guys know that as beanies. These beanies that say dumb bitch. And that was because I had a song where I call myself a dumb bitch. And I remember I was so nervous that first night. And then I walked onto stage, and right away I saw this big guy, tattoos, whatever, like these two of them. And they were both wearing dumb bitch beanies. And I was like, I got this. It's okay. It will all be okay. But yeah, like, people definitely did like me. I mean, I started the whole show. I did my first song, and then I said, make some noise if you don't know who the fuck I am. And everyone erupted into, you know, and that was kind of a really good, like, icebreaker of, like, yeah, I know I'm new here. I know that you don't know who the fuck I am, but, like, let me sing for you, and hopefully you'll like me. So It worked out.
How did you choose the set list for that? Did you just choose, like, straight bangers?
At that time, I didn't have that many songs out, so it was very easy to choose the set list. In fact, they replaced Simple Plan with Hot Mulligan and Less Than Jake. So there was 4 of us. Yeah, I was like, math. So there was 4 of us. And during the tour, some of them started getting COVID. So, like, Less Than Jake had COVID, and so did Hot Mulligan. So they had to drop out of some shows. And I went from having a 30-minute set and being one of 4 to then they were like, can you play any longer? And also being direct support. And they kept making the joke that I was poisoning people so that I could get a better slot. Because at first I was like, oh, then I got a little bit more time, then a little bit more time. And I remember just, like, we were somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and they were like, we have to switch your set to 40 minutes. And I was like, I don't even have 40 minutes of material that are, like, upbeat. And I remember we took one of my songs called Dear First Love, which is, like, a ballad, and we made it, like, a pop punk version. And I remember we just, like, all learned this, like, by the pool at the hotel. They let us use the actual swimming pool room. They opened it for us, and my drummer was just, like, drumming on his knees, and everyone was, like, practicing. But yeah, so it was easy to pick the songs because I didn't have that many. So it was cool.
Would you say you're a New Found Glory fan now?
Oh my God, obsessed. Like, literally in every interview I try to talk about them because I owe everything to them. If they didn't find me and put me on that tour, I don't know where I would be. I'm sure I would still be here, but they really helped give me a push. So thank you, Chad. Shout out. Love you.
And it wasn't that he discovered you on a playlist?
Yes,
is that right?
he went, their tour was called Pop Punk's Not Dead, or Pop Punk's Still Not Dead.
Yeah.
And so he typed in Pop Punk's Not Dead to Spotify. And at the time, I had just released one of my songs, Death Wish, I think, and I was the cover of that playlist. And I was the first, in the first song. And he clicked it, and he goes, yeah, I like this, her. That's what he told me anyway.
Amazing.
And yeah, the rest was history.
What are your favorite New Found Glory songs?
Ooh. This is so classic, but probably like My Friend Over You.
That's my favorite.
I love Catalyst, yeah. Yeah, I love their cover of Frozen. Actually, I did a cover of Frozen.
Yeah, I saw.
And it's funny because we were both on that Disney album, and I actually requested Part of Your World, and they were like, you can't do that one anymore. Someone took it. I was like, who fucking took that one? Like, okay, I guess I'll do Let It Go, because they did such a good job and it inspired me, whatever. And then I found out that they took it, and then I messaged Chad, you fuckers, you took my song.
I wanted that one.
And he just wrote back, fuck you. And then I was like, well, I took your song now. Now I'm going to do Let It Go, so watch out. But yeah.
Have you played with them since that first tour?
No, I haven't, which is sad. But every time they're touring, I've seen them a few times. They came to Buffalo, which is close to Toronto, so I saw them there. When they came to LA, I saw them here. They always give me guest lists, so
nice.
They're day ones. They just opened for Jimmy Eat World.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but they played Toronto the day that I was flying out to LA, and they played LA before, or we weren't in town for the same day. So
I remember I did see that show, but it felt so weird because it was such a big show, and I was so far away, and I'm like, I'm used to seeing New Found Glory, like right here.
Yeah.
Right here. But cool. Shall we move into Green Day?
Yes. Green Day, Lollapalooza, Chicago, 2022. So this was my first Lollapalooza that I ever played. Well, my only Lollapalooza that I ever played, but it was a goal of mine forever. Like on the mood board, I always wanted, this was my biggest dream to play Lollapalooza. And it was the same day as Green Day. So I opened for Green Day.
Basically.
I did play before
I should have
them.
put that in the intro.
So I opened for Green Day. A few months before this, I had actually been at a bar in LA on a Wednesday night, and I met Billy and I met Mike. And I ended up hanging out with them for hours, like becoming friends with them, or however friends I thought that I could be. They're like, yeah, this fucking stalker was there. No, but so, I met them, and and I had told them I'm playing Lollapalooza too, and they're like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. But then the time comes, and I'm watching Lollapalooza, and for the headliners, they don't let normally your artist pass can get you anywhere, but for the headliners, they're like only like family and friends of Green Day can watch in front of house, which is the best place to watch. And I don't remember, someone from Spotify was like, had an extra wristband or something, so I was able to watch front of house. So I'm watching with like these people from Warner and Spotify, like, these important, like, or to me anyways, like the industry executives that I'm like, trying to impress. And we watched the show, and it was the first time I ever saw Green Day because I never got to see them earlier. My mom was not sending me to a Green Day concert by myself, and she was not going with me. And then another time I tried seeing Green Day, it was when they had to cancel their tour in 2016. And another time when I wanted to see them, it was COVID. So I had never actually gotten to see them. Finally, I'm seeing them. The show was incredible. I was like literally jaw dropped. I had the best time. And as we were leaving, he was singing Time of Your Life, and I had to pee my pants because of course I held in my pee the whole show because I'm like, I'm not missing this. So me and the Spotify people and all the label people, we were like, okay, let's just like right when he finishes Time of Your Life, we'll just like walk right in front of the stage to the artist section. And so we're walking, and he's like, Time of Your Life. And he sees me walking, and he goes, hey, this is on stage. Keep in mind, in front of like 100, however many people are at Lollapalooza. And then he goes, I see you. I see you. And all the Spotify people were like, Lola, what the fuck? Like, how do you know Billy Joe? Like, why did he just do that to you? And I'm like, oh yeah, he likes my music. No big deal. Like, he just like loves my music. And I looked so cool in front of them. And really, it was just because I met him at the bar. But he did say that he listened to one of my songs and that he liked it. So
Amazing.
It wasn't a full lie. But that was probably one of the coolest moments of my entire life.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Green Day at Lollapalooza, I mean, they play a full-on set, right? It's not a festival set.
Yeah, no, it was like a full set. And I've now seen them 4 times. And that was probably, I mean, they were all amazing. I saw them, so Lollapalooza, and then I saw them right before they did the Saviors tour. They did like a last-minute like pop-up show, just like at the either Echo or Echoplex, whatever this.
I remember that.
The bigger one.
Yeah. It was like a last minute.
Yes, and I somehow, I literally messaged every single person in the music industry that I know, like, what do I have to do? Whose dick do I have to suck to go to this concert? And I somehow got to go to the concert and watch that, and so that was so cool because it was like 500 people.
Yeah, so
and
close.
It was like all of the industry people were at the back, and people that I know messaged me being like, we're by the bar. Like, I'm like, oh, I got a spot in the pit. Like, I'm not moving. And I'm like literally dripping sweat, jumping up and down. There was like a few people that were like, are you LØLØ? And they were like my fans too. I'm like jumping up and down with them. We're dancing. I'm
Amazing.
like deep in the pit right at the front. So that was such a cool experience. Then I saw them with that same tour, just with all of the production, actually at the stadium in Toronto. And then we both played Download Fest, so I saw them at Download. So now I've seen them 4 times, but obviously you never forget your first. So
Right. Don't you name check them on one of your songs?
Yes, I do. In my song, Oh My God, I say, will I ever be as cool as Green Day?
Nice.
Yes.
They should listen to that one.
I know. So it was like that came out after I met them, and I wasn't going to just like slide in and be like, listen to this song. Because I never want to like bother people or think that like, I hate acting like a fan, even though I'm the biggest fucking fan. But I was like, I made a cool impression. I'll just leave it at that.
Leave it there.
I'll just leave it at that. They know, or they hopefully remember who I am.
So on that note, what was your introduction to Green Day?
Ooh, so this is actually kind of funny. My introduction was, I don't really remember because I was so young, but I know that was my first CD that I picked out, like going to the CD store with my mom. And me and her always joke that I was probably like, a red heart. I want that one. This is cute. Like, this will just be just like Hillary Duff. And it was nothing like Hillary Duff, but it was awesome. And then that CD and my Hillary Duff CD were like my 2 favorite ones as a kid that I would just like practice in my basement just in case they brought me up on stage one day and, charge my parents $2 to come watch in the basement. But I don't remember because my mom and dad were not into Green Day at all. But it was just like, they told me that they were like, yeah, you wanted that CD. I was like, oh, I have good taste.
Yeah. When did you start playing music?
I started playing guitar when I was in my first year of high school. I always like wanted to be a singer, but I wanted to be in musical theater. Like my dream was to be like Elphaba on Broadway, which is totally different than what I'm doing now, obviously. But when I first started playing guitar, my guitar teacher was like, you should write songs, like you have a good voice. And I always like knew I wanted to sing, but I never thought about like writing songs. And the thought of writing songs, like writing out my diary entries and having other people listen to it, I'm like, no, that will never happen. That's my biggest fear. I used to keep a diary as a kid and I would rip it up in little pieces of paper. Like I would just rip it up and I just had like these book binder things because I was scared my parents were going to like read it. And so the thought of the masses hearing it, no. But I ended up writing a song and falling in love with it. And then here we are today. And I share way too much with the internet and the masses. But so it wasn't until I started playing guitar that I started writing and then being like, oh, I want to do this, not Broadway, which I think is good because I am such a bad dancer. I don't think I ever would have cut it on Broadway. So,
so you don't need that skill for this show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So do you remember any specific moments from the show that really stood out for you? Other than this, obviously.
That was the best one. Honestly, for the Lollapalooza set, they played all of the hits. So everything was like, one that I knew every word to. But of course, I feel like watching like Boulevard of Broken Dreams, just like really like, or Wake Me Up When September Ends, like it really gets you going. So those were just like so emotional for me because I have listened to those ones in particular so many times. So to see those live and hear him actually singing it live is crazy. Actually, really randomly, my favorite Green Day song is Give Me Novocaine because at the time it was like Give Me Novocaine / She's a Rebel. And in that song he says like from Toronto to Chicago. And I was like, oh my God, he's talking about me as a kid. I'm like, this is about me. I'm a rebel, even though I was the biggest nerd and not a rebel at all. But I got to see him sing that at Echoplex or Echo, whichever one. And that was really cool because that's like my favorite Green. And I feel like that's a rare, like they wouldn't normally sing that. But because of the Saviors tour, they did American Idiot front to back. So that was like my favorite moment, seeing that.
Are there any other unplayed Green Day songs that you feel like you need to hear live?
I think I've seen all of my favorites now, actually, because American Idiot was my favorite CD, and they played the full thing. So
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go forward to Boygenius.
Boygenius, Coachella, Indio, 2023. So I knew Boygenius, like I had heard of them. I had never really at the time listened to Phoebe Bridgers much. I just knew that they were a girl band and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I went to go watch them with my roommate who loved them. And the sun was setting, like everything was literally perfect. And the show was starting and they just like played pretty much their whole album, like front to back. And with, you know, things in between switched around, but they just blew me away. I remember sitting there like my mouth was dropped. It was they're just so effortlessly cool. And the way that they were dressed and their little like dress shirts and their tie, like, oh my God, they were so cool. And their lyrics are just so conversational and just like they also really just like say what they want to say and don't edit it, which I think is so cool. And their songs just like really blew me away and their artistry and everything. And I just remember it inspired me so much as an artist. Like hearing them gave me song ideas. Just like I was like, oh, this reminds me of like, oh, I should write a song about that. And my phone was dead. Oh, and I was like, how do I write down these song ideas? And so was my roommates. And I just remember like during the concert, I would like enjoy it, but then take time to be like, write a song about this in my head, write a song about this, like literally just like in my head nonstop. And then I got a charger after the concert, so I wrote down some things, and that was when I was writing my debut album. And honestly, they inspired me so much. Like just listening to that album made me want to write. Like I don't know, so I highly attribute that to them.
So you think some of the songs from your first album came from
just
those
watching
ideas?
Yes, just like seeing them and I'm like, oh, I could do a song like this, or like it's just I don't know, like it wasn't like they sung a song about this and I was like I want to sing that too, but I was just like it was just all of a sudden I was getting song ideas while watching and I was so inspired by them. Like I strive to be them. I think they're so cool and I'm so sad that they're not a band anymore, but I have hope that maybe they will be a band again soon.
Right, because they didn't officially like say we're never going to be a
right,
band
but they were
again.
just like, well, they were like, we're done. Like at the Grammys, they were like, last day of work.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we'll just win best rock, whatever, and then
quit.
Quit while you're ahead, I guess.
I mean, but they're all doing
exactly. They're all doing their
things,
solo stuff, so I have hope, like that they're
maybe, yeah. So you became a fan like that.
Yes,
day.
that day, and I'm actually so happy that I didn't listen to their songs before because I really got to hear the songs for the first time and see them at the same time with the most beautiful sunset and just like in Indio and like everything. And it was my first Coachella also. And it was just like so beautiful. Like I could have shed a tear. So I think that was actually really cool because that was the first time, like normally you go to a concert and you know every word. Yeah. But I was just there with my roommate because he wanted to go, and thank God. But yeah, it was really cool to experience like a live record there.
Obviously, you haven't seen them since. Have you been back to Coachella?
I went not last year, but the year before. But no, I haven't seen them since. They came to Toronto actually, and I couldn't make the show. I think I was sick or something. But I had tickets, and then I gave them to my roommate, that same roommate that introduced me. So nice. I was like, you deserve this. Right. But yeah, I haven't seen them. And I guess I can't now. But hopefully one day.
Yeah.
But that first show, honestly, that honestly is probably my like top show ever. And I didn't even know who they were before. I mean, I knew who they were, but I didn't know the songs. And that just like...
They made an impression.
They really did.
Yeah. What is the scene like in Toronto?
It used to be really sick. We used to have so many like bars with live music and so many cool pop writers and artists and stuff lived there. I think there's still like a good hip hop scene, like, you know, like Drake and The Weeknd came out of Toronto. But a lot of like all of my friends that were pop writers or like pop artists moved to LA or Nashville or New York. Not really New York, maybe like one. But so the scene is like not great. A lot of those like live music places closed because of COVID. My mom's always like, why can't you just write here?
I
Like,
know, I bet.
Why do you always have to be away? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, well, the scene is kind of, yeah, the vibes have definitely changed there. But it's so great because Toronto is like, I think it's called the melting pot of Canada or of North America. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But there's so many different cultures and stuff. So I feel like that really makes like for so many different like influences, different types of music, different, you know, like even if you just like walk by a bar playing different kind of music, like there's just so much differentness. Is that a word? Anyways. So that was cool, I think, growing up in Toronto. And when they did have all that live music and stuff, like I got my start like going to a bunch of, I knew no one in the music industry. So I would just go to like open mics and try to meet people. And that definitely helped that it had a good scene for that.
So the first show you went to as a fan, though, was it when you were on tour or?
No,
Okay.
my first concert ever, I went with my uncle to see Hilary Duff.
Okay.
I think it was the Meta. Actually, I don't know what tour it was. I think it was 2004.
I'm not sure.
I think it was 2004. Wait, what? You're not the biggest Hilary Duff fan?
I don't know her eras.
Yeah. No, she's so good. But yeah, I think 2004 I went like with him. And then my second concert after that, as I didn't go much, was 2006. And it was Justin Timberlake. But opening for Justin Timberlake, get ready for this. Good Charlotte.
Yes.
So whenever I say that, people are like, what? But at the time, they had a song on pop radio. The everybody, but yeah, I don't want to be in love. Yeah. And it was like on pop radio. And so I guess someone was like, yeah, Future Love Sex Sounds, Good Charlotte. Same vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, they opened. So that was cool. But yeah, that was my second concert. And then, yeah. And then I started like, as I got older and, you know, I would start to like, you know, buy tickets and go see club shows, you know, in Toronto, like around.
Yeah.
That wasn't so like a big arena. But yeah.
Right.
So now I've caught up, especially also with touring. Now I've seen so many shows.
Oh yeah, and you played your first Warped Tour this year.
Yes.
But did you know of Warped Tour? Obviously,
yeah. So honestly, I didn't even know of Warped Tour till later. So I'm definitely a poser. I'm like, yeah, Reddit, you're totally right. Yeah, I'd heard of it, I think, but I wasn't like. It was definitely a thing in Toronto, but I don't think it's the same. It was the same as like how it is in the States, like because I think Toronto was Toronto the only Canadian date, or
I think there were maybe two
Montreal.
or three.
I think it was Montreal. Yeah. But it wasn't like
I
here.
went on Warped Tour and I didn't have a passport, so I had to go home during that time.
Oh no.
But
so yeah, but yeah, it wasn't really like I knew like once I was older, I knew.
Yeah.
But then they weren't doing it, or I don't know. Honestly,
it did. Yeah, I went away for a while, and now it's more like an event than a tour.
For sure. Yeah, but like when I first saw that it was coming back, I was like, am I cool enough for this? I don't know. Like because I feel like I'm grouped sometimes like too rock for pop or too pop for rock, and I'm somewhere in between. And it's varying opinions on where I belong and if I belong in this scene, which I think is funny because I feel like the scene is supposed to be all about like anyone belongs. But yeah, so I feel like I'm a little bit, does she? So I wasn't sure, but then I got the call for Warped Tour and I was like, yay, I'm cool. Fuck yeah.
What was your experience like?
It was so cool. So at first I got my time slot and I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing so early. I think I played at 12:30 ish. I'm not sure. But I was like, okay, like at least, and I was so nervous for Warped Tour because I also found out that mine was going to be live streamed. Oh. And I was like, okay, so it's going to live on the internet. I literally cannot fuck up. I've never been more nervous for a show. I never get stage fright for Warped Tour. the like 2 weeks before, I felt like in my house, just like in my bedroom, like thinking about it, and I like have to swallow. Like I feel like my throat is tightening, and but then I found out I was playing early, and I was like, oh, thank God, no one's gonna be there. But then, yeah. But then I get on stage, and it's literally the biggest sea of people I've ever performed for in my entire life. So shout out to the people who came early. But it was so much fun. And then, of course, once you're up there, the first song, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people. Oh my God, remember the words. But then like you get more comfortable as it goes. And I really like how the live stream came out. Thank God. But yeah, it was so cool. And I remember getting off stage and like, I think I had like, my phone was blowing up of like new followers, comments, this. And so that was so great. I think it's so great for artist discovery. And so many people discovered me that day. Like I got so many comments like, discovered you today. You were so good. So I'm so happy that I did it. And I love Kevin Lyman. And someone actually sent me a podcast from 2021. He's talking about the New Found Glory tour that he went to and how he discovered me there. And he was like, I love that they like took this girl that's unknown. I think she was really great. Yeah. And so this all goes back to thank you, Chad Gilbert. Like literally, it all goes back to that. So, yeah.
And you're playing Orlando.
I am playing Orlando. I'm very excited for that. And yeah, that would be a fun one. I didn't do DC because I was doing Download Fest that day. But I would have loved to do that one too.
What's still on your bucket list? What tours or festivals are still on your?
Well, obviously Green Day is the biggest dream. Not that I think it would happen, but we're gonna put positive vibes.
Put it out.
It's gonna happen. Yeah. So that would be a dream. Festival wise, Coachella would be like a huge dream. I would love to do Austin City Limits. What's the one in San Francisco? I would love to do that one. Why am I forgetting? Yes, Outside Lands. I'd love to. Outside Lands.
I think you play Riot Fest too.
Oh yeah. Okay. That is one. The lineup for that this year was so good. And I literally sent it to my managers. I was like, why aren't I on this? I'm such a failure. And they were like, you literally are doing a show in Chicago 2 weeks before. Like you had the radius clause. We didn't even submit you for this. And I was like, okay, I feel better now. But yeah, I would love to do Riot Fest. It's interesting because I feel like I could present so differently depending like pop, rock. But yeah, I'm always scared that people aren't gonna be as perceptive since I'm not as like hard of a rocker. I mean, I think I rock out for sure, but not the same way that like, New Found Glory or Green Day does.
Right.
But I think also like I remember for Download Fest, I was so nervous because it's like I did Download Fest and I did Nova Rock this past May and Rock am Ring and Rock and Park. And I was like, I am like the biggest pussy on this lineup by far, musically and probably emotionally too. And what are like? And then I was like, at first I was like, I have to take all of my rockiest, hardest songs and I have to just play those. Maybe we can switch this. And that's what I was going to do at first. And then I realized, you know what? I'm going to just like be me and just do exactly what I would do as like whichever songs I think are the best. And I think that if anything, it could be a breath of fresh air from like all of this, like.
Right. Maybe you don't want that.
Yeah, like
for
maybe
6
someone
hours.
wants an ear break and, to like, sing about boys or girls who have wronged them. And, relationship kind of songs and that kind of stuff. And so I did that. And I think it actually ended up working in my favor because I feel like it was something different that people were like, oh, what's this? I'm going to watch it. And, all the shows went really well and the crowds were so receptive. And I was so nervous for those too because just literally crowd stuff. I've had a drink thrown at me before. So once that happens I feel like
what festival did this
So that was at Slam Dunk, the second day of Slam Dunk. The first day went so well. And the second day went so well too, by the way. Like everyone was loving it. And it was actually after a song, the only song in my set where I am screaming. Like, and oh my God, I'm like screaming. And I remember someone threw a drink at me, this like big blue slushy, and it fell right between me and my guitar player, right beside his pedal board. So if it went on, it would have just like destroyed it. So thank God. So God was looking out for me. But I remember being so shocked because I was like, oh, no one would like throw a drink at like sweet little old me. Like, why would someone be that mean and do it? Like, I was just so naive at the thoughts. I remember like I said into the mic, like, did someone just throw that? And in my head, I'm like, did they think I'm hot? They want to cool me down? Like, like I actually, like my brain could not compute that they would just be mean to me. Like, cause I'm like, why? Like I'm doing a good job. Like, I don't know if it's the delusion. It's like, but I was shocked. And then this guy put up his hand and goes, yeah, I did. You fucking suck. He screamed that. And this guy, let me just tell you, he was literally like this like older guy, just like, and I'm just like,
why are you here?
Just attacked a young woman, a young little girl. But then I literally verbally destroyed him. And my content guy took a video of it and I put it on the internet and I got like millions of views and I actually got like 30,000 followers from it. And everyone that heard me say that to him, that day I had 0 interviews booked, like 0. Like no one wanted to talk to me. No one cared. I was like, the beginning, I was like a new artist. And once I got off stage, every single outlet wanted to talk to me. And all of the surrounding artists like that were on that stage for later heard, and everyone came up to me and they're like, you're so fucking punk rock. Like, that was so fucking sick. You killed him. So it ended up, he did me actually a huge favor. So thanks, dude, wherever you are. But
I hope you paid a lot of money for that slushie.
Yeah, like that's what I don't get. You're gonna buy, it was a big, nice, beautiful slushie. Like, what are you thinking? But anyway, so ever since then, I tried to say like, oh yeah, I don't care. Like I was the winner. I told him off in front of everyone and everyone laughed at him and everyone cheered for me. But it still is like scary. And I'm like, I don't want someone to throw something at me. But it went so well that people thought that I was planned, like that that it was some sort of skit. But it wasn't. But so now I'm always kind of like, don't throw things at me. I just got my hair done.
Right. Yeah. Well, I feel like there was like a resurgence of that for a while, and everybody's like, "What's happening? Why are people throwing things?"
Yeah, like, people were throwing. Like, come on! Like, if you're gonna go to a concert, just enjoy or like leave. Yeah. Like, it's totally fine. I'm not for everyone. I acknowledge that. I don't like every single musical artist, but like, I would never try to attack them.
Just politely.
Yeah, just politely leave, or like, you know what? Go home and tell your wife how fucking bad I was. I don't care. But like, don't.
But if it's a festival, just go to another stage.
Go to another stage. Oh my God, I know. It's like this, it's crazy. But anyway, so that was kind of scarring and it really rattled me. Like for the rest of the set, my heart was pounding and I was like, I want to kill him. I'm going to kill that guy. I'm going to go find him after this and I'm going to tell him off. But obviously I did none of that. But I was so mad. I'm like, I hold grudges. I get so
and that's
mad.
what your songs are.
Yeah. And that's why, yes, if you listen to my music, you would know that I don't let things go easily.
Nice. So tell me what's coming on the new album, as much as you can say.
Yeah,
however.
So I'm putting out a new album. I can tell you that it will be next year that I'm putting it out. I started putting out 2 songs that will be on the album. So Devil Wears Converse and American Zombie will be on the album. A song that I'm putting out next month will be on the album. And then I'm probably going to announce my album and another tour and stuff next year, at the top of next year. And I really like it. And I think it's going even a little further away from rock and a little bit more into like singer-songwriter-y, like, like a little bit less Green Day, a little bit more like Michelle Branch, maybe vibes, which I love. And I hope that the fans love it too, because there are some songs that are like wildly different to me anyways, but I feel like for me, like the thing that is consistent with me is like my lyrics and like my attitude, as you said.
Yeah.
So that is still there. But production wise, I think people are going to be surprised at like how like soft some of the songs are, but I think they're really good.
I think there's room for that.
Yeah.
I think there's room for that.
Yeah. My new song, it's called Me With No Shirt On. And it's literally about a crash out in the time that you send someone a nude and they don't answer. And thinking, but the bigger picture of the song is like, you don't look at me the same way that you used to, or like, realizing that the person you're with isn't in love with you anymore.
Ooh, that's vulnerable.
Yeah. So it's all centered around that one moment, but really the song's about, realizing that the other person doesn't feel the same anymore and just dealing with that. But it's funny because that's going to be my new song. And I'm like thinking about my Warped Tour set list and it's like, Okay, Orlando, have any of you men over there ever sent a nude before? Woo! And I'm like, okay, what am I going to... But so at first I was like, I'm definitely not playing that. But now I'm thinking, I definitely am playing that, and I'm definitely saying that. So I'm excited to see the crowd's reaction.
Yeah, I mean, do you think about that a lot in advance, like how to set up these songs so people can relate to them before they even hear a single chord? Like,
yes, it's funny because I feel like some bands and artists are so like, I'm just gonna like say anything, and I am very like, I try to be a little bit more calculated because I feel like I will go off on it, like especially because as an opener you have 30 minutes. And you can't go over, otherwise they will unplug you. And next, like, you know, I'm one of four, like no one gives a fuck. So I have to be way more calculated with my banter. And so I do really plan it out. And I was on the Simple Plan tour that I was just on. Simple Plan is the same as me. Like they're very like, you know, they relatively say the same thing before each song every time. And like, you know, it's like, it's a script, but that, you know, they go off, but like it helps. I mean, that's how I am. And then like bands like Bowling for Soup, just like have no idea what they're going to say at any time. And my photographer overheard a conversation between Pierre and Bowling for Soup talking about like, how do you banter? And Pierre's like, oh, like, well, we relatively like say the same thing like every time. And they were like, what? Like, and they were like, what?
It's like different school of thought.
Yeah.
Entirely.
And then like, whereas like Jarrett and like the band are just going like off about any tangent. But both shows are so amazing and they're so special in their own way. Yeah. So it's funny. But yeah, so I'm more like Simple Plan. I like to know what I'm going to say.
You give a good setup. That's good. That's good. Do you have any shows coming up as a fan?
As a fan?
I don't think there's...
Oh, I'm seeing Shawn Mendes on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That is about the only show for the rest of the year.
Are you friends with the Beaches? They're from Toronto.
I am.
I'm going to see them this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, no way. Yeah. Here?
The Wiltern, yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Wait, what day are they playing?
Saturday.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not going to that. I'm shooting my album cover on Sunday. So I'm like, I'm going to go to bed early.
Basement.
But I've seen Beaches they've been around for so long. And
I know.
I feel like everyone's like, oh, they popped out of nowhere. But like, because I'm from Toronto, I know that they've been fucking grinding for like 13 years, something crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I know all of them. I'm friends with Kylie, which is the guitar player. Yeah. But I'm friends with all of them, but that's my closest friend of the band. But they're awesome. They're so funny. So funny.
I loved when I discovered their album, you know, was the new one, but then their back catalog was also so great.
So good.
So
they're amazing. Yeah. And they really deserve everything that they have coming to them because like they have been working their asses off for so long. So I'm so happy that like the world is
paying off. Yeah. Paying attention.
Yeah. It's amazing.
What's the best intro LØLØ song?
I would say Hot Girls in Hell because that song is like half singer-songwriter me and half really angry rock me. And I think that's like a really good representation of the two sides of me. And that's why I love that song and that's why that's my favorite song of mine. So that would be a good intro song for sure.
All right. Everybody listen to Hot Girls in Hell. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.